Today I show you how to sharpen a knife. First of all, you're going to need a sandstone. This particular stone has oil impregnated in it. It's actually a dry stone, so you only ever need to use water with it. And if you use it dry, be very careful that you do not cut yourself. A razor sharp knife will cut you before you know it. So, it's very easy. Holding the stone in one hand and the knife in the other. The angle I'm using on this side is about 15 degrees, and I'm using a very light pressure. The reason I'm sharpening this knife is at the tip. It's starting to lose its edge. Now turn it over, and it's the same on the other side, except the angle is about 30 degrees. This knife was rather sharp before I started, so it's not going to take long. You can actually hear the stone cutting into the steel. When you're using a stone in this way, I'm not going to cut myself when the edge is facing away, but when it's facing towards me, if I'm not careful, I could cut myself because I could run my finger into the blade. So be very aware of what's going on. To tell if a knife is sharp, you run it down your thumbnail. If it sticks in, it's sharp. If it slides down, it's not sharp. See that? Starting to feel pretty sharp. Now that it's starting to get sharp, I'm just going to use a very light pressure. One direction each side. You can get a knife razor sharp with a stone without even having to put the steel on it. Now, okay, that's not quite sharp enough there. It looks like the front is going to need a little extra attention. There's a coarse side and a fine side. They'll both get this knife extremely sharp. I'm using the coarse side at the moment. Remember, a very flat 15-degree angle when the edge is facing away. Turn it over when the edge is facing towards you. It's about a 30-degree angle. And feel this sandstone cutting into the steel. Look, that's a fair bit better now. Now to bring it up, using the butcher's steel. 1, 1, 1. Essentially, you only need to steel it 3 times if it's sharp already. So you go 1, 1, 1. That's getting pretty sharp there. If the edge is not so sharp, it may need a bit more of a steel. So we're starting at the top, run it full blade length down each side. It's getting a good edge on it now. You can't see the hairs too well on that knife, but it's cut a patch of hair off my arm just there. That's really all there is to it. Some blades are not sharp to begin with, therefore you will need to persevere with the sandstone until you start getting an edge on it. Some people, they give up, they don't think it's happening, they can't get an edge on it, but clearly the knife wasn't sharp to begin with, in which case just keep going, keep at it, and eventually your knife will become razor sharp. If your knife is a bit blunt to begin with, you can apply a firmer pressure when you're giving the knife its initial sandstone. The way not to cut yourself when you're using a razor sharp knife is to keep your fingers in, and your thumb for that matter. If you haven't figured it out, I am left-handed, so for right-handed people the knife and the sandstone may be in reverse hands. If the sandstone you're using is a very small one, please pay particular care so as not to cut yourself. You'll be holding the stone closer to the edge of the knife and the risk of cutting yourself is greater.